Let's be honest, sex is something most of us enjoy. But the real question is, what kind of sex are Americans actually having? I'm Dr. Hannah, a board-certified urologist with over a decade of experience helping men protect their prostate health, boost their performance, and build lasting confidence in the bedroom. Today, we're taking a deep look at the top 10 sexual activities Americans engage in, drawn from one of the most comprehensive national surveys ever conducted on this topic. Before we jump in, I'd love to know, where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments below and take a moment to subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell. This community is growing fast, and I'm thrilled to share honest, science-based conversations about men's health and intimacy. And trust me, number 9 and 10 on this list might surprise you. But before we start listing, let's establish one crucial point. There's no single, normal way to experience sexuality. So many men ask me, is it weird that I like this? Or, am I the only one who enjoys that? The answer is no. Sexuality is deeply personal, as unique as a fingerprint. What excites or connects one person may differ completely for another, and that's perfectly okay. The study we're diving into makes something crystal clear. You're not alone. Across all ages and backgrounds, millions are exploring and enjoying a wide range of sexual experiences, most of them entirely healthy, common, and normal. So, let's uncover what America is really doing behind closed doors. 1. Vaginal sex. Vaginal sex remains the most common and widely practiced sexual activity in America. In fact, studies show that around 88% of men and 91% of women engage in vaginal intercourse with their partners. It's not exactly a shocker. It's the most direct form of intimacy. And from a biological perspective, it's also how humans reproduce. But beyond biology, vaginal sex carries deep emotional and relational significance. For many couples, it symbolizes trust, closeness, and connection. It's often seen as the foundation of romantic and physical intimacy. Yet, just because it's familiar doesn't mean it has to become routine or predictable. One of the most common issues Dr. Hannah sees in her practice is couples falling into sexual patterns that feel mechanical or repetitive. When that happens, the act loses its emotional depth and physical spark. The good news? This can easily be reignited. Communication is key. Partners who talk openly about what they enjoy, what they'd like to try, and how they feel during intimacy tend to experience stronger satisfaction. Experimentation can also breathe new life into this experience. That doesn't necessarily mean doing something wild or out of character. It can be as simple as changing positions, exploring different pacing, or focusing more intentionally on foreplay. For many couples, slowing down and staying present makes a world of difference. From a health standpoint, vaginal intercourse offers benefits too. Regular sex has been linked to improved heart health, lower stress levels, and even stronger immune function. For men, it may help maintain erectile function by improving blood flow and circulation. For women, it can support pelvic floor strength and natural lubrication. At its best, vaginal sex is about more than physical pleasure. It's an act of emotional and biological harmony. When approached with openness, respect, and curiosity, it becomes a shared experience that deepens connection, strengthens trust, and keeps intimacy fulfilling at any stage of life. 2. Masturbation. Masturbation is one of the most natural and universal sexual behaviors, yet it remains one of the most misunderstood. More than 80% of men and women admit to doing it, and studies show that within the past month alone, around 64% of men and 41% of women have masturbated. Despite its prevalence, cultural and religious stigma still make it a sensitive topic for many. But from a medical standpoint, as Dr. Hannah often reminds her patients, self-pleasure is both normal and healthy when done in moderation. Biologically, masturbation helps maintain sexual function. For men, it can improve circulation, support prostate health, and even help prevent issues like erectile dysfunction by keeping the sexual response system active. For women, it helps them connect with their own pleasure, enhances arousal, and promotes relaxation. It also releases dopamine and oxytocin, neurochemicals that reduce stress and elevate mood. In other words, it's a natural way to boost both mental and physical well-being. Emotionally, masturbation can serve as a safe space for self-discovery. It allows individuals to understand what feels pleasurable to them, which can lead to more satisfying experiences with a partner. It's also a way to relieve tension, improve sleep, and foster body confidence. The shame surrounding it often does more harm than the act itself, creating guilt or anxiety around something that's simply a normal part of human sexuality. Practically, the key is balance. If self-pleasure begins replacing genuine intimacy or interfering with relationships, work, or daily life, that's a sign to reassess. Excessive use, especially when tied to pornography, can dull sensitivity or create unrealistic expectations about sex. But when approached mindfully, it can be a healthy supplement to partnered intimacy. In short, masturbation isn't a habit to be hidden or judged. It's an act of self-care, a way to stay in touch with your own body, and a reminder that pleasure and health are deeply connected. When understood through a lens of openness and respect, it becomes a tool for confidence, awareness, and balance, not shame. 3. Oral sex. Oral sex is one of the most common and intimate acts shared between partners, with more than 80% of Americans having experienced it at least once. While often viewed as an expression of generosity or playfulness in the bedroom, oral sex also reflects a deeper level of trust and connection. For many couples, it's a way of showing attentiveness, of wanting to please their partner beyond the basics of intercourse. Dr. Hannah frequently reminds her patients that this kind of openness can strengthen emotional and physical bonds when approached with mutual respect and understanding. From a biological perspective, oral sex stimulates sensitive nerve endings that heighten arousal and deepen pleasure for both partners. However, it's not without risks. Many people overlook the fact that sexually transmitted infections, STIs, can still be transmitted orally. Herpes, HPV, gonorrhea, and syphilis are among the most common. Dr. Hannah emphasizes that while protection methods like condoms and dental dams may not seem sexy, they are essential tools for maintaining sexual health. Protection doesn't reduce passion. It preserves it by ensuring safety and peace of mind. Emotionally, oral sex often symbolizes vulnerability and care. The act requires communication, consent, and a willingness to slow down. When partners focus on pleasure rather than performance, they create space for deeper satisfaction. For couples who may feel disconnected, introducing more open dialogue about what feels good and what doesn't can be a simple but powerful way to rebuild closeness. Practically, oral sex also allows couples to explore their desires without the pressure of penetration. It can serve as part of foreplay or as an intimate act on its own. The most fulfilling experiences often come when both partners feel equally comfortable giving and receiving. Ultimately, oral sex isn't just a physical exchange, it's a form of communication. It says, "I trust you and I want you to feel good." When practiced safely and thoughtfully, it enhances intimacy, reinforces emotional bonds, and keeps sexual connection vibrant and mutually rewarding. 4. Porn habits. Pornography is one of the most polarizing yet pervasive parts of modern sexuality. Around 82% of men and 60% of women admit to watching porn at least occasionally, and the truth is, most people encounter it at some point in their lives. It's easily accessible, anonymous, and designed to trigger the brain's pleasure system. But as Dr. Hannah often explains, how porn affects you depends largely on how you use it. A little can enhance curiosity and arousal, but too much can distort reality and dull emotional intimacy. Biologically, porn activates the same reward pathways in the brain as drugs, gambling, or even food. Each time you watch, dopamine, a neurotransmitter linked to pleasure and motivation, is released. In moderation, this is harmless, but chronic overstimulation can desensitize the brain's response. This means that real-life intimacy might start to feel less exciting or harder to achieve. Over time, some men experience lower libido or even performance issues, not because something's wrong physically, but because the brain has become conditioned to digital stimulation rather than human connection. Emotionally, porn can create unrealistic expectations about bodies, performance, and what sex should look like. Real intimacy is often slower, messier, and more emotional than what's portrayed on screen. Comparing your partner, or yourself, to scripted fantasy can lead to frustration or insecurity. That's why Dr. Hannah encourages her patients to use porn consciously, if at all, and to remember that it's entertainment, not education. Practically, setting limits is key. Avoid relying on porn as your main source of arousal. Instead, prioritize real touch, communication, and presence. If you're in a relationship, talk openly about boundaries and comfort levels. Some couples even use ethical or educational erotica as a way to explore fantasies together without the unrealistic pressures of mainstream content. In short, porn itself isn't inherently harmful. It's how it's used that matters. When approached mindfully, it can be a harmless enhancement to curiosity. But when it replaces real connection, it becomes a barrier. Awareness, honesty, and moderation are the foundations of keeping desire authentic and relationships strong. 5. Lingerie and fantasy. When it comes to keeping intimacy exciting, sometimes the smallest gestures can make the biggest difference. And that's where lingerie and fantasy come in. Around 75% of women and 26% of men admit to wearing something special to enhance desire or surprise their partner. While it may seem like a minor detail, Dr. Hannah emphasizes that visual anticipation plays a powerful role in arousal. When someone sees their partner making an effort to look and feel sexy, it triggers a release of dopamine, the brain's reward chemical, immediately heightening attraction and emotional connection. Biologically, this response is rooted in desire and novelty. Humans are wired to find new or unexpected stimuli exciting. Lingerie, costumes, or roleplay can spark that same sense of discovery that often fades in long-term relationships. Emotionally, these gestures communicate something deeper. You're worth my effort. They reaffirm attraction, commitment, and the willingness to keep passion alive. Even couples who've been together for years benefit from the renewed sense of playfulness this brings. Dr. Hannah often reminds patients that fantasy isn't about replacing reality. It's about enriching it. Reading erotic stories together, exploring light role play, or simply dressing up for each other can reignite curiosity. The key is consent and comfort. Both partners should feel respected and safe in what they choose to try. If something feels awkward at first, that's normal. The goal isn't perfection, it's connection. Practically, introducing fantasy doesn't require elaborate plans. It might be as simple as changing the setting, sending a flirty message during the day, or wearing something that makes you feel confident. Confidence, after all, is the most powerful aphrodisiac. In essence, lingerie and fantasy serve as tools for emotional and sexual renewal. They help couples break routines, rediscover attraction, and approach intimacy with creativity rather than obligation. Whether it's a lacy surprise or an imaginative scenario, what matters most is the shared effort to keep passion alive and the courage to explore together without judgment. 6. Risky play. Risky play, such as sexting, sharing intimate photos, or even engaging in public encounters, is becoming increasingly common in modern relationships. Surveys show that around 65% of men and 54% of women have sent or received nude or semi-nude photos at least once. For many, this behavior isn't about recklessness. It's about excitement, anticipation, and feeling desired. As Dr. Hannah explains, the thrill often lies in the secrecy and spontaneity, the sense of breaking routine, and expressing desire in new ways. Biologically, risk stimulates adrenaline, the same hormone linked to excitement and attraction. This rush heightens arousal and strengthens emotional intensity in the moment. Emotionally, these acts can foster intimacy when both partners are on the same page, using them to keep things playful and engaging. However, the same behaviors can quickly turn harmful when boundaries, trust, or privacy are ignored. The digital world adds another layer of complexity. Once a photo or video is sent, control over it is lost. Phones can be hacked, relationships can end, and private content can be shared or leaked without consent. That's why Dr. Hannah emphasizes the importance of self-protection. Avoid showing identifiable details like your face, tattoos, or background settings. Only share intimate material with someone you deeply trust and never under pressure. When it comes to public or semi-public sex, the appeal often lies in the adrenaline rush of doing something taboo. But it's crucial to remember that such acts are illegal in most places and can result in serious legal consequences. The fantasy may be exciting, but the risk is rarely worth it. Ultimately, risky play thrives on boundaries, knowing where they are and respecting them. When practiced responsibly, a little risk can reignite attraction and deepen intimacy. But when handled carelessly, it can cause irreversible harm. The real key is communication, consent, and caution. Desire should never come at the cost of safety or self-respect. 7. Exploring kinks. Exploring kinks, such as spanking or experimenting with new sensations, is far more common than many people realize. About 30% of Americans admit to incorporating some form of light bondage, spanking, or role reversal into their sex lives. For most couples, it isn't about pain or control. It's about trust, communication, and curiosity. Dr. Hannah explains that when partners explore kinks together, they're not just experimenting physically, they're building emotional vulnerability and learning to express desire in a safe, consensual space. Biologically, mild pain and pleasure activate similar areas in the brain, releasing endorphins that heighten arousal and create a sense of euphoria. This is why activities like light spanking or sensory play can feel both exciting and deeply connecting. Emotionally, these experiences can bring couples closer because they require honesty, negotiation, and respect. You can't explore safely without clear communication, and that very communication strengthens intimacy. For beginners, Dr. Hannah advises starting slow. Discuss boundaries before trying anything new. Establish a safe word or signal to pause or stop immediately if discomfort arises. The goal is never to shock or push limits too far, but to create a shared adventure where both partners feel comfortable and respected. Practically, there are many ways to explore without risk. Sensual massages, blindfolds, gentle restraints, or playful teasing can introduce novelty while keeping control and safety intact. It's also important to remember that consent is ongoing. It must be freely given and can be withdrawn at any time. At its core, exploring kinks isn't about being extreme. It's about curiosity, creativity, and trust. It allows couples to rediscover passion in unexpected ways and deepen emotional closeness through mutual exploration. When approached with openness and care, these experiences can transform sex from routine to remarkable, proving that intimacy thrives where communication and respect meet desire. At the end of the day, sexuality is about connection, not comparison. What this study shows, and what Dr. Hannah emphasizes, is that there's no single normal way to experience pleasure. Whether you've tried every activity on this list or none at all, What matters most is mutual respect, safety, and honest communication. Curiosity keeps relationships alive, while openness keeps intimacy strong. Your sexuality is uniquely yours. There's no need for shame or judgment. Explore at your own pace, talk with your partner, and remember, fulfillment comes not from perfection, but from shared understanding and genuine connection.